Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2017 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Demco tabless base plate kit. So there's going to be a total of 5 main components needed to flat tow your Wrangler down the road safely. First one's going to be the base plate, and that's going to provide us with a solid and reliable connection point. That way we can hook our tow bar up to it. So the tow bar here is going to be your second main component. This is going to be the physical link that actually connects the front of your Jeep to the back of your motorhome. The third main component is going to be safety cables. And these are going to be there in the event of an unlikely disconnect. These are going to keep your Jeep connected to your motorhome. The fourth main component is going to be tow bar wiring. And this wiring, what it's going to do is transfer the lighting functions from the back of your RV to the back of your Wrangler, keeping you safe and legal. And last but not least, our fifth main component is going to be a braking system. And what that's going to do is apply the brakes in your Wrangler whenever you hit the brakes in your motorhome, helping to bring you to a more predictable and safe stop. This is what your base plate is going to look like whenever you're not using it, whenever you're not hooked up to your motorhome. And honestly, I think it looks pretty good. For the most part, it is going to be completely hidden. You are going to see this portion here where your arms come in, and just a little bit here on the driver's side. But what you can see kind of has that almost that off-road appearance to it. So I think it definitely matches up with the front of the Jeep. And to be honest with you, just about any accessory you throw at a Jeep ends up looking good and kind of blending in. A nice little touch that we do get with the base plate is these caps. And when you're not using it, they plug in there, and that's going to really help kind of keep it protected from, moisture and dirt and debris getting inside of there. That way it'll work smoothly in the future. Now, whenever you are ready to use the base plate, it's going to be super easy, and that's because it does have these removable type arms. And what you're going to do with these is just put them in, then rotate them about a quarter turn. And if you see there's a hole in the arm, that's going to line up with the hole in the base plate. You're going to take this pin, just work that through. And that's all there is to it to get them in place and ready to go. And it's set up the same over on the other side. Now, whenever you are ready to hook up to your motorhome, it's going to be super straightforward. You're just going to take the tow bar, line it up with your base plate, put your pin and clip through. Safety cable openings are going to be easy to get to as well. So you'll snap those on and then plug in the rest of your components, such as your braking system and your tow bar wiring. And that's really all there is to it. So really saves you a lot of time and headache. You're not going to have to fight with anything. Everything's spaced apart good, looks clean and organized. I will say this base plate kit is going to work really well with those etrailer.com as well as the Demco tow bars, but they can also work with different brands of tow bars by using an adapter that you can find here at eTrailer. So at the end of the day, a base plate kit that really can't go wrong with, kind of that great all-around setup. Not only is it going to look pretty good, but ultimately I think one of the best features is the fact that it's going to be able to work and adapt to use with many different types of tow bars. So regardless what type of tow bar you have, chances are pretty good you'll be able to pair it up with the base plate. Now, as far as the installation goes, really not too bad. You are going to have to pull your bumper off, but that's only held in place by a handful of nuts and bolts, so really shouldn't give you any issues there. And more or less the base plate is just going to kind of bolt right up. A couple holes you got to drill, but everything's easy to get to, so really shouldn't give you a whole lot of issues. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and put it on together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be working underneath the front of our Jeep here, and first thing we need to do is remove this plastic shield. It's going to be held in place by 4 push-pin fasteners here along this front edge. So this is what they're going to look like. You can take a trim tool or a flathead screwdriver, kind of pry underneath the head of it, and work that fastener out. And then underneath the front of our Jeep, on the back side of the bumper, we're going to have 2 more push pin type fasteners. one on each corner, just like this, that we need to pull out as well. And once we have both of those removed, our shield should be released, and we can drop it down and set it off to the side. Now that our shield is free, we can set it to the side. Now what we need to do is actually remove our bumper itself. And the bumper is going to be held in place on each side by 4 18mm nuts. So we'll have 2 here and 2 just on the other side of our frame rail. So we need to go ahead and get those removed. So with this top outside one here, what I like to do is remove it and then just put it back on a couple threads hand tight. That way when we remove all the other nuts, this will prevent the bumper from just, falling off. But all the other ones are going to completely take off. So I went ahead and just kind of applied some pressure on our bumper here, removed the 2 nuts that we left on hand tight, and then we should be able to simply pull our bumper away. There's some brackets that are in there. They fall down, no big deal. So we are going to have some electrical connectors if your Jeep is equipped with fog lights. Not a big deal. Simply just push in on the center of that tab and disconnect them. Looks like the wiring is going to have some push pins on it that connects it to the bumper. So we need to remove that. And kind of just take a trim tool and pry that out. Once that is released, we can take our bumper beam and set it off to the side. Over here on the driver's side of our vehicle, if you look at our frame here where our bumper actually mounts to, this plate, the top right hole, we need to enlarge that to the size listed in the instructions. So I got my bit here. We'll go ahead and get that done. Since we did drill this hole out larger, we have some bare metal exposed, so I do suggest taking a paint stick, some spray paint, whatever you got, just to get a layer of protection over that exposed metal. Then once we have that done, we can move over here to our passenger side. If you follow our wiring harness up, it's going to be connected right there as well. And we just need to move that out of the way so we can get our base plate on. So again, we'll just go ahead and pry that off. And kind of grab our harness and just push it back towards the vehicle to get it out of the way. Now with the next set of hands, we can take our base plate, put it into position. What you're going to do is kind of push it further towards the driver's side and then slide it into place like this. And what we're going to do on each side, just to help keep it lined up, is just take a clamp and simply just clamp it into position. So what you want to do, make sure your base plate's lined up appropriately, and then we can move right here. There's a hole in the base plate. We're going to use that as a template. That way we can drill in through part of our frame bracket there and get it secured. So grab your bit and get that opened up. Now what we can do is get our hardware in place through the hole that we just drilled. So what you're going to do is take one of the bolts, a split lock washer, put that over the bolt, a flat washer. You're going to take some of the Included Blue Loctite, apply that on the threads, and we're going to put this on all the hardware that's going to secure our base plate. And the way this is going to work is, so this is going to go through that opening there that we created, and then on the back side of this frame bracket, we can take this nut plate. All right, what I like to do is just put it in a pair of needle nose vice grips like that. That way when we put this up, you can kind of hold the vice grips and it's just a lot easier to line up. So if you can see the threaded portion there, you can line it up with the hole. Then you're just going to take your hardware and get this going hand tight. So once you get the other side of your base plate drilled out and the hardware loosely installed there, we can come back and tighten and torque them. You can find the proper torque specifications in your instructions. At this point, I went ahead and installed our safety cables. These are pretty straightforward. You just want to make sure to wrap it around your base plate and around part of your frame. Really not a right or wrong way to do this, just however you see fit. Really the only thing you have to look out for is to make sure you're going to avoid any moving components or things like that. Now with an extra set of hands, we can reinstall our bumper. Don't forget to plug in your fog lights. And those brackets that we removed when we took our bumper off, these factory ones, you're going to take it and install it on the outside portion of our frame rail. Get that plate on there, and you're going to take our factory nuts, don't forget your Loctite, and get these secured. So what I went ahead and did, now that everything is torqued down and secured, is just take our plastic shield here, and I just reinstalled it just on the back. That way it'll kind of hold in place. You can kind of push it up where it wants to set and trim out the area here that needs to be removed. That way it'll go all the way up and sit flush. So I did that, just used a marker to kind of trace out the area, and now I'm going to cut that out. I'm just going to use a Dremel tool. This is pretty thin plastic though. You could use a pair of 10 snips or something like that to get this done as well. So this is what it looks like once it's all cut out. I did have to cut out a small opening here to clear this side, the edge of our base plate. But with that being said, you can go ahead and take your push pin fasteners and simply get those reinstalled. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Demco tabless base plate kit on our 2017 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited.